Hey, hi all. Welcome to another video on the invoice adjustments. So in this video, we will be looking at the approval setups that are applicable for the invoice adjustment. This is the third video that I am uploading on the topic of AR invoice adjustment. So when we talk about the approvals that are applicable for an invoice adjustment, so it basically doesn't work how we normal the approval system that you would have seen in purchasing, for example, where it will goes to one member, then it goes to its manager based on the job position and all those. Here, this is not like that. It's a plain setup based on the amount and the currency and the document type. I'll take you through all these setups. Now, before coming into the or diving into the setup, I'll just show in the UI a two invoice adjustment and how it is progressing. So let me log into the system and go to the billing area and create an invoice. So I'm creating a transaction. As usual, I'm taking US1 business unit for the demo. And I have the defaults. Customer, I'm taking business world. That gives me the rest of the things populated. Now here I'm giving a description. Now the unit price and the quantity is 1 and 1000. Okay. I'm saving this and completing, going for complete. So now the status of the invoice is complete and we have the actions button enabled or the LOV enabled. Now I'm going to create an adjustment for this. So clicking on plus icon, receivable activity, wherein which there is a default code combination where the amount will be credited or debited depending upon how you want to increase or decrease the invoice balance. Adjustment amount or invoice type, I'm selecting line adjustment so that I can give the value. So here I am going to give a value of 110. Okay. These are not mandatory, just submitting it. So as soon as I submitted this particular invoice adjustment and message is getting displayed. That means you can't approve this adjustment because it isn't within your approval limits. So this message is coming because the user FAS01 student does not have the limit for the approval. Okay, I'll create one more invoice adjustment. Selecting activity, line adjustment. This time I am giving an amount of 90. Okay. Both sides I gave positive amount, that is increasing the customer balance. That means the receivable will be debited and the adjustment amount will be credited. Okay. Charges and submitting it. Now you can see the 90 amount invoice adjustment got approved, whereas 110 the status in pending approval. So which means that somewhere there is a limit that is set up for this user for the approval. Now we will come to the setup part of it, how the approval limit is set up. Going into the, so approval setup is in setup and maintenance. I'm selecting the area financials. Task, I'm just entering approval and clicking on search. That gives me, and selecting manage approval limits receivable functional area. If I go here and username, I'm going to search. I'm going to give FAS01 and search Okay, no value is displayed. Clicking on advanced button. That is because the username is equals field. I'm changing it to start with. Searching, I got FA0 student 1. So this is the area where the approval limit is set up for this particular user. So we can see for this particular user, FA01 student, of document type adjustment with a combination of currency, the minimum approval amount is minus 100 and the maximum is 100. That's why when we in the invoice, when we created an adjustment above 100, we created for 110, it wending for pending approval. Whereas when we created which is 90 less than 100, we got it approved automatically. Now this is the area 0 to the value, the maximum value is the area where we can increase the customer balance, where in which a receivable debits and the adjustment account will get credited. Now minimum is the area like minus to 0, negative to 0 is the amount that you need to specify for the customer balance to reduce or knock it off to bring it to 0. Now being said that if you give it here 0 and the maximum limit is 100, and suppose you want to knock it off, say $4 or in those, it will not get approved because it is the amount is, it has to be negative for it has to come to 0. Okay. So if you need to create a new approval limit, we just need to click on add new row, key in the username and the document type. Basically on the AR side, where this approval limit governs is on the adjustment. There is a functionality of credit memo refund and there is a receipt to write off. Right now our discussion is on the adjustment and we can create on the based on the dollar. Now there is another caveat to this. A username logged within FA01 student, he cannot himself set up his own approval limits. System will not allow that one. I'll just demo that part. So again, here FAS01. See, this message gets posted. That means you cannot create or update your own approval limits. So if you want to create an approval limit for FA01, we have to log in through another user. So normally in the business or a project implementation, all the setups will be done by a implementation super user. And this is for just demo purpose. So FA01 student is having all the access and we were doing it. Now, in a scenario, in our scenario, we will configure the approval limit for FA01 or FA02 student, let's say. Again, clicking on advanced, FA02. Adjustment type of, so now it is, we can specify, say, minus 200. And here he can go till 200. So this second user can approve till an adjustment amount that is of minus 200 if it is coming or negating the customer balance, or if you are increasing the customer balance, it can go up to 200. Let's save and close it. Now going back to the transaction, I just forgot the transaction number or forgot to note it down. Let me search based on the transaction date. That is from 1 to 1, I guess. Let's see. Let me put today's date. Okay. So this is our latest one for 1090. So now we have this status. One is pending approval, one is an approved status. Now the user FA01 has only limit to $100, which we already seen as per the setup, which is in the setup and maintenance. Now, in order to get this approved, what we need to do? Before getting it to approved, we will see what are the next steps or the available items when the status is in approved. Once the status is in approved, and we can only do a post to ledger, there is an edit icon. Though it is enabled, actually nothing we can do. That is all grayed out. Still, why it is edit? No, it ideally it should also be grayed out. If any other adjustment that has to be made, it has to be a new adjustment. Whereas when the status is in a pending approval, like if a 01 student has initiated the adjustment and that has to be approved by next user, which can be the manager or line manager, case to case, depending upon the business scenario, how it is getting configured. So what are the actions available? The action one is withdraw, which is basically canceling this particular adjustment. Say if a 01 student initiate this particular adjustment, but the manager is coming and telling this adjustment is not feasible or it should not be done, then he can withdraw it by the FA01 student itself. And also, if you click on edit icon, there is accounting date can be edited, and the only reason, which is the another reason, we can mention it. This is a configurable lookup. We will be going through this setup in a later video. But essentially, what I wanted to show is that when it is approved, we don't have anything pending. It is already approved. The only thing is the post to ledger, which will create the entries. And another one is in pending approval, we can withdraw or we can edit the adjustment reason. Now we will log in as FA02 student and we will try to approve it. Let me log out. 5077. Signing out. Logging in as FA02 student. Navigating to the billing area. Searching for the transaction. This time I remember the number. 5077. Okay. Here you can see the other user also can see this. Now, how to approve it? FA02 is logged in. How to approve it is he can also edit and withdraw. FA02 also can withdraw if he is not want to approve it. Okay. Now, how to approve it? Not to approve it, we have a specific task. Go to that. Also, I'll show this particular info tile. Let me first come and show this adjustment. So we have a specific task that is approve adjustment. So all these are pending for approval. And this is our transaction, which is for 110. Now, FA02 as an approver, he can either approve or he can reject or he can use a request additional information. All these things are possible. Now, other thing that I want to show is that before approving it, the info tile incomplete is nothing but it will show all the number of incomplete invoices that are there in the system for a particular business unit. If you want to filter it out, now it is currently for all business unit. And approval and research is nothing but this related to adjustment. These two info tiles are related to adjustment. And in the current period, that is of December, we have 4 invoices that are pending for approval. That is what it is showing. So from here also, we can come here and approve it. I'm approving it. Good to go. Submit. So this transaction is approved and moved. Number is also reduced. Now we can either navigate to or log in as FA01 student, or here only we can review that particular transaction, as both are having the equally the same access except the approval limits. Moving to manage adjustments, you can see the status has changed to approved. So and the comments, see here it is, who initiated. FA01 student has initiated. Who approved it? It is approved by FA02 student. Now what we see, or to just summarize, our approval limits are based on username, the document type, whether it is adjustment or whether it is write-off or whether it is a refund. And then the currency, and then we have a positive limit and a negative limit, that is from amount and to amount. There is no hierarchy that is getting reflected. If 2 users are there, so in our example, we took FA01 and FA02. Now suppose FA03 is having a adjustment setup for currency USD, and if it is say 500 to positive 500, before FA02 is coming and approving, if FA03 wants to approve it, he can do so. There is nothing like parallel hierarchy, serial hierarchy. Here it is. Now, being said that one more important point that we need to note down. So in any business unit, there will be a particular currency applicable for one particular business unit, say USD for one particular business unit, but we will be invoicing the customer who is outside US, say EMEA region, like Europe countries, right? That can be in another currency, maybe in Euro. So if your invoice is in Euro and you configured a setup for USD, system does not have the intelligence to convert this particular amount using a conversion rate and define a Euro amount. So we have to explicitly configure the setup for the Euro currency also. I can show that also in the system. Let me see if I can quickly show that. So I can duplicate this transaction. Let me see. Duplicating this transaction to avoid additional data entry, make it quick. So now I'm selecting currency of Euro. Now automatically the conversion rate has taken as corporate, and conversion rate is coming as 1.13. Let's see how much is the amount. So in Euro, let me complete and show you this. 0 2 2. So the amount is now in 1090 euro. Okay, now let's try and create an adjustment. Line adjustment. we know that is having a limit of 200. So I'm just giving 110. See here also the message is coming. You don't have the adjustment approval limits defined. Now, we know that we already configured for an amount of 200 for this FA02, but that is in USD currency. Sometimes this is a pain point for the business because they have to configure for all the currency for one particular business user. But the system behaves like this and we have to configure for each currency. Now the next setup that I'm going to show is that how we can migrate the approval setups. Okay, I am going to setup and maintenance. So during implementation side, this will be like we will have maybe 1,000 users or more than 1,000 users for whom we need to configure this particular approval limit. So keying in one by one in the system during a cutover window will be a difficult task. So what we used to do is we go for the import export functionality. So basically we will export one from one system or one instance, which will be our dev instance or test instance, and push into the next instance. So for that one, first I am going to enable the actions column. Okay, once action is there, I can export the current setups that is available. I'm clicking on submit. So this will actually export whatever the setups we configured for approval limits for all the users, and it will get exported. Task which is in progress. So what basically this will do, this will export all the setup data for the approval limits, whatever the currency that we configured, and it will create a zip file. Takes a bit time. Okay, it went succeeded. You can click on download file, and I'm saving it locally. So the file is saved. Let me go to the folder. So we have this file ready. So here we can see. So it has exported all the setup that is applicable for the approval limits. Again, ADJ is for adjustment. CMREF for the, or the short code is for the credit memo refund. And we will be seeing one more that is for write-off, which is WRT. So now we want to set up approval limits for one user in another currency also. Let's say how we can quickly do that. So I'm just deleting, and I'll be doing in one particular instance only. So to make for our demo, I am just changing it to FA01 dot student. Amount 2 is nothing but the positive side, and the amount from is -6. From the negative side, let me put it as 1,000, and here it as 1,000. Okay. So we are essentially configuring an approval limit for FA01 in CNY. Now, during the cutover time, or the when we are migrating one setup to another, or we have to configure 1,000, this is the best approach. And the document type we need to copy as adjustment only, as that is the one. And this time I'm configuring it for euro, and one is for GBP, and let's say INR. Same amount, I'm keeping it same. Okay. Once that is done, just save it. My Excel is having some issue, so it is telling me to save it another copy. I'm doing a workaround. If Excel is working fine, I think it will automatically work perfect. So I'm going to AR side. Same. Replace, yes. I'm closing this off, saving it. This is the area where I saved the file. Now I'm just opening and saying, yes, this is the one. Now I need to place this particular file that we saved now into this zip folder, because when we are importing the same setup into the next instance, we need the edited file. I'm just placing it, copy and replace, because I want to replace the other one. Now it is of smaller size. We can just open and see also. Yes, which we edited is the one that is there in the zip file. We can rename this particular zip folder name or the file name. There is no issue, whatever we want. If not, also it's also okay. Now, before importing, I'll once again go through manage approval limits and show that what is the approval limit that is there for FA01. So FA01 has only USD, and that too minus 100 to 100. Now let's try to import our setup, which we created in the Excel. Okay, let me show it in slow. So for that, we'll go to actions, import from CSV, create new. Here we have to choose the CSV file package, which is nothing but the zip file. Open and submit. We'll see how the import request is progressing, which is not yet started. Let's wait. Okay, it started. Keep on refreshing. Okay, so the import has successfully completed. Now we will go and requery the approval. Okay. Phase 0, 1, and changing this to start with. Select. Now we can see all the currency combinations. Whatever we put in the Excel has been imported successfully. So this way our setup turnout time can be reduced considerably when there is a requirement for one single user to have in the multi-currency. As we said in the earlier, it explicitly for each currency we need to have the setup configured. system don't have the intelligence. If you configure for the one currency, it will do the conversion and applicable for the other currency combinations. Thanks for watching. We'll come up with next videos on the invoice adjustments.